Hey, good afternoon, folks. We're going to be talking about none other than Lindsey Graham. If you're aware, he has suggested that there should be a 15-week abortion ban nationwide. Why is this coming up in conversation? Because with the rolling back of Roe versus Wade, many on the right have adamantly stated that they were not trying to control abortion or tell women what to do with their bodies, but simply return the rights back to the states. So we're going to be talking about a well-known Republican like Lindsey Graham trying to impose federal law. All of the conservatives that we generally hear from are in favor of states' rights and smaller government. Why would Lindsey Graham do this? Is he revealing the cards of the GOP in regards to stating that, no, it's not states' rights, but we're attempting to take action on a national level? I'm going to be asking that. That's what we're going to start the comment off with, but I'll go right to the comments here. Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundation. Wow. Okay, Jerry B. Good evening or good afternoon to all you folks that are filtering in. Why would Lindsey Graham do that? I'll go right to the box. But how are we supposed to view Lindsey Graham in comparison to those who are suggesting that the Republicans are not trying to control abortion, but rather return rights to the states? Say what you want about Lindsey Graham. He has been seen frequenting Mar-a-Lago, taking pictures with the president since 2020. So if you want Trump back, it's hard to imagine that Lindsey Graham is not going to come back as well. All right, going straight to the box, I believe that Marine for Life came up first. So, Marine, good afternoon to you.
What's up, bud?
Not much at all. What is Lindsey Graham trying to do? Is he showing us that the conservatives actually do want to federalize their stance on abortion?
No, I think Lindsey Graham is trying to ride on the coattails of Donald Trump.
Okay, so you believe Donald Trump wants to federalize abortion?
Nope, I just think that Lindsey Graham is going there to talk to Trump because he needs to win the election and he's riding on his coattails.
Okay. But do you believe what Lindsey Trump is saying is something that would be co-signed by President Trump?
Like, okay, I'm a little lost because I'm not up to par on the federalization of abortion. All that stuff.
Okay, I'll give it to you as simple as I can. Lindsey Graham suggested that we have a nationwide abortion ban at 15 weeks. So in other words, he's allowing pro-choice options up to 15 weeks nationwide. This has nothing to do with states' rights. He's suggesting that this is a federal law nationwide.
It'll never happen.
Right. But if you're suggesting that he's riding the coattails of Trump, what do you think is causing him to make this statement in the middle of the Supreme Court rolling back Roe versus Wade and Republicans, for the most part, being happy with what has happened? What would make Lindsey Graham go in this other direction?
Like I said, Lindsey Graham is I'm a conservative, and I can't stand Lindsey Graham. He's a war hawk. All he wants to do is send our brave men and women into chaos, and he's riding on Donald Trump's coattails for his next election bid. That's exactly what it is.
Okay. Do you think Trump has the same sentiment that Lindsey Graham is portraying to the public? You think Trump would co-sign that?
No.
Okay. So if we don't hear anything from Trump, who is known to be very vocal about how he feels in regards to proposed legislation, if we do not hear anything from Trump countering what Lindsey just said the other day, how would we know that Trump does not favor what he stated. So particularly when you're suggesting that he's riding Trump's coattails.
I'm just saying he's visiting there because he needs voters, and so he will talk the part, do what he has to do, and Lindsey Graham, in my opinion, is a fucking chump. So
So
I'm just saying
why
that.
does okay, I get your point. I understand you're not very favorable to Lindsey Graham, and you're not the only one I've heard say that from. But I guess the question is, Lindsey Graham has been seen around Mar-a-Lago taking pictures with President Trump and things like that. And oddly enough, like yourself, a lot of MAGA is not very favorable of Lindsey Trump or Lindsey Graham. I'm mixing their
Yeah.
names together. Lindsey Graham.
Mm-hmm.
So if Trump is reelected or comes back on the scene again, wouldn't it be safe to assume that he's going to be endorsing Lindsey Graham as well?
I don't think he'll endorse him.
Why
If
is he
he
taking
endorsed,
pictures with
okay,
him?
I don't think Trump wants Lindsey Graham anywhere near him. But you know what? He has his right to go down there, and he's probably like, you're a traitor. But Lindsey Graham, I'm sorry, but I can't stand the dude. He's a war hawk. He always wants to send us to war.
Yeah,
So
but
that's my
if you
feelings on him.
believe yeah, but if you believe that of Lindsey Graham, that he's a traitor, he's a war hawk, some are suggesting he's a rhino, and Trump is still taking pictures. I mean, do you think Trump would take pictures with Liz Cheney if she went to Mar-a-Lago? If he is that
Probably not.
bad,
No,
if he's that bad as you're suggesting, what does Trump have to gain by taking pictures with him?
I think Trump's thing is he's trying to keep the Senate Republican.
Okay.
So he's going to do whatever he can to keep it Republican. But I think that at that, what I'm saying is there's no love lost there because
Okay.
I can tell you right now, I don't think Donald Trump has any ounce of respect for Lindsey Graham, but I think he's playing it to where they keep the Senate, if that makes sense.
So when Trump made the promise of draining the swamp, sounds like you're suggesting that in order to keep control of the Senate, he is willing to, at the very least temporarily, embrace the swamp, take pictures with the swamp, and
You
be
have
seen in
to.
public with the swamp.
You have to. In this modern age right now, you have to because you have to get better candidates, of course. And Lindsey Graham is a horrible candidate. Sorry, he's a piece of
Yeah, but
shit. And
how
I'm a
can
conservative.
Trump? Right, and I appreciate that. You're welcome on the program anytime. But I have to
Mhm.
ask, how can you drain the swamp if you're going to help him get reelected to Senate, and he's going to be a senator for the most of? If Trump gets elected in 2024, and he helps Lindsey Graham win his Senate seat come this November, you
They
cannot
need
drain Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham is going to be
no. They
around
need to
throughout
find
Trump's
somebody.
presidency.
They need to find somebody that can primary him. And somebody that's worth a fuck. Sorry for my language, but worth a damn. And they're gonna have to find somebody to primary him.
Yeah,
Unfortunately,
but how can you find someone to primary him with the race taking place in November, and Trump is recently been seen taking pictures of it? Even Trump is not promoting someone to primary Lindsey Graham. And make no mistake about it, if Lindsey Graham wins in 2022, a couple months from now, he's going to be a senator throughout Trump's presidency if Trump is reelected. So when we suggest that Trump is there to drain the swamp, and you believe Lindsey Graham is a swamp creature, and Trump is actually endorsing him, that sounds more like he's promoting the swamp.
no. And I see I see your point. I totally hear you loud and clear. But Trump is a winner.
Yeah,
he
he doesn't
doesn't
have to put
care.
his name behind Lindsey Graham, no. If you think Lindsey Graham is
No,
a swamp, Trump can win independent of Lindsey. He doesn't have to put
yeah,
his name behind Lindsey Graham. He's promoting the swamp based on what you're saying.
but no, I agree with you. I agree with you to a point, but he's looking at the bigger picture, and until we can get Lindsey Graham like deuces and retired, he's gonna do what he has to. I think my opinion is to have both chambers, if
Okay.
that makes
All right.
sense.
So, so in other words, let's just say that obviously Trump, for to impose his legislation, he does, as you say, he needs control of both chambers. I do agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
But let's go ahead and put to bed the notion that he's going to drain the swamp, because even you're admitting that he's so focused on getting both chambers that he is
Mm-hmm.
willing to work with the swamp. So let's get
And
that part out
I
of our
agree.
mind.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you because I think I agree with you 100% that he's looking at as a strategy, and he knows. I don't. Okay, I don't think. If you want my honest opinion, I don't think
Absolutely.
Trump. I don't think Trump realized how swampy DC was until he got into DC, and
And
I
that
don't think
is
he,
And
I
that
don't
is
think
a
he knew that.
flaw, right? You're not the first I've heard say that. I do got to part ways
Mhm.
with you. I'll give you the last word,
No,
but I
no,
will
no,
say,
no, absolutely.
okay, I
No,
will
but
say this. I will say this before I let you go. When you suggest that Trump probably did not know how swampy DC is. That is a flaw on the American public for electing a non-politician, because a typical politician would have done that homework and knew that ahead of time. Last word is
mhm.
yours.
No, 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 and you know what, I agree with you to a point. Uh, he, my opinion is Trump did not have like the right people on his team to say, hey, nope, this person's swampy, nope, nope, nope. And he didn't know how DC worked, but yeah,
Okay.
he was a private
Real quick,
citizen.
real quick before I let you go. How do you feel about Dr. Oz that he's also bringing on his team?
Okay, man, Doctor Oz, in my opinion, my
Okay.
opinion is a Democrat, but
So in other words, he's still doing it. After 4 years in office, he still
yeah,
hasn't learned about bringing the right people
no,
to his team.
because Doctor Oz is a Democrat. He's a closet Democrat, but he's running against a guy that has, you know, I'm sorry, but I've looked up Fetterman. He's a joke.
Okay.
And God bless him. I feel bad for him for having a stroke, but I'm sorry. I'm sick of having these old, raggedy people in Washington with medical issues, this issue, that issue. We need healthy people. And so at the end of the
All right.
day, I hope Oz wins at the end of the day. But yeah, I think Oz is a closet Democrat.
All right, I got to move it on. Good talk, man. Good
Have a
talk to
good
you.
one, bud.
You too. And the go right back to the box shortly. And tap the screen, get your boy likes up. You know what I always ask for my Patriots. Get your boy up to about 5,000 likes. Make that happen for a brother. But the reason why I brought up Dr. Oz, and he makes a good point about Fetterman. There's no love from the Republican Party for Fetterman. I can totally understand that. However, there was an exceptional amount of preference to the primary candidate, to Dr. Oz. I believe it was an African American woman who strongly believed the election was not held properly and that Trump won. He rejected all of that and picked Dr. Oz, who you just heard my previous caller suggest is a closeted Democrat. The only point I'm trying to make, your humble correspondent here, is that it does appear, for those who believe that Trump simply did not realize how swampy DC was before coming into office, The point I'm trying to make is that after serving as president for 4 years with folks like Dr. Oz taking pictures with Lindsey Graham, it appears as though he still has not learned. I'm submitting this to MAGA. You see my name. I don't run from MAGA. I appreciate you guys talking. Uncensored, unbanned. We don't block anyone. However, if you are MAGA, if you are strongly supportive of Trump, you have to admit that even in 2022, he is still making poor decisions in regards to who surrounds him. That is not a liberal. That is not a Democratic issue. That is an issue coming from the former president himself. He is deliberately selecting what MAGA would refer to as bad people. Going back to the box, we're going to go to OK Old Timer. He is MAGA. Love talking to him. Old Timer, good afternoon.
What's going on, brother?
No. What do you think about Trump's picks hanging around Lindsey Graham and things like that?
Well, let's go back to the beginning. First of all, Lindsey Graham shouldn't have used anything that sounded anything like women's rights. Roe versus Wade was never enacted in legislation as a U.S. code or ratified into law.
True.
Okay, so what he did when he said what he should have done was he should have enacted legislation to protect the women's rights to choice.
Who should have done that? Who should have done that?
Lindsey Graham. If he was going to do anything worthwhile, he flips topic. He switches topics faster than a toddler playing with a light switch. That's son of a bitch.
So when I have to ask you the same question I asked the previous caller, when Trump promised to surround himself with the best and brightest and drain the swamp, how do you view his continual friendship, taking pictures and inviting him to Mar-a-Lago with Lindsey Graham?
Well, Lindsey Graham's got okay. When you say Republican or you say conservative, that is not every Republican or conservative. They still have different ideas and philosophies. So Graham's pretty strong in his state, unfortunately. And he has his his base. And Trump has his base. They may not see eye to eye, but if they don't tend to support each other, they'll lose portion of that base, and then both of them's elections might go downhill.
So what happened? So are we? You continue, but based on what you're saying, is it safe to say that drain the swamp is something that we can go ahead and pretty much sweep under the rug? That's not going to happen at this point.
No, it's not going to happen at this point. It didn't happen at that point. He didn't get in there and drain the swamp. He got in there and walked out on the pier and said, "Holy shit, look how big the swamp is. Where do we start?" And then got sidetracked.
Okay. All right. So under the guise of promises made, promises kept, we can check off drain the swamp as a failure.
Oh, yeah. And that's just like
okay. All right.
This guy Oz that you brought up, it's
yeah, the
last Oz that I heard of that had any kind of wisdom or common sense played in a movie with Julie Garland, The Wizard of Oz.
I'm old enough to remember. That's pretty good. I like that.
All right. So, it's I think with Trump and Graham, I hate to say it this way, but it's kind of like being the parent of a retarded child. You can't help but love them.
Oh my God. Which one is the retarded child? I have to ask that.
Yes.
You are in rare form today, man. You got my jaw stirred. I asked you which one is the retarded child. Your response was yes. That is fucked up. Go ahead. You're killing it.
Don't either one of them know which one's their daddy. They just
You are MAGA. Let me go ahead and verify. You are MAGA. You did support Trump, right?
Well, I voted for him.
Okay. Oh shit! You're making a highlight reel today, man.
But I also voted for Obama in one term. You You vote for who you think or who's going to convince you they're going to do
Yeah.
the best for the country
Which term did you pick Obama, first or second?
first.
So you picked him over McCain, but went for Mitt Romney. What do you think of Mitt Romney now?
Oh, he's an idiot. He was an idiot then too.
Okay. But you know something? What about the notion that Mitt Romney is actually a traditional Republican? Now, you mentioned Lindsey Graham being very popular in his state, and Trump, taking pictures with him at Mar-a-Lago and things like that. Mitt Romney is very popular in Utah. You think he could go to Mar-a-Lago and hang out with Trump?
Well, maybe if he hadn't stuck his foot in his mouth so much about everything that was going on while Trump was in presidency.
Yeah, well,
But
he also voted for the impeachment. Mitt Romney did. So my guess is, yeah, his ties with Trump are in bad shape. I don't know if I could ever see Trump endorsing Mitt Romney. But as you and the previous caller put it, if Trump wants to maintain control of both houses, particularly the Senate, I mean, I guess having Mitt Romney in there is in his best interest.
I think it possibly, but for lack of any other way to put it, I don't care what they think is in their best interest. I care about what we think is in our best interest, and we probably ought to drain the swamps ourselves
Yeah.
and start at the local level and then work our way up from there instead of trying to make a difference at the top when when it comes down to electorals instead of because an electoral you can hold the popular vote in an area and that electoral just decide to go the other way and they go the other way and there ain't really nothing you can do about it. It's just
Well, you know something? I will say this: despite our political differences, I'm certain we have political differences because I lean left. But I will say this: I would not categorize you as MAGA. You obviously lean right. You're How the hell did that happen? Unfortunately, TikTok just informed me that previous guest said something. I don't know what the hell it is. Well, I guess he criticized President Trump or criticized Lindsey Graham. But he just said something where they blocked him. They just took that previous caller off of the program. I make it clear I do not block, ban, or censor for any reason at all. Okay, old timer, I do see you in the comments. I apologize for whatever the hell the system flagged you for. Because I don't ban, block, or censor for anything. Folks are suggesting in the comments that you use the R word. So, and we know, I don't know what you're talking about. I guess it's something of that nature. I don't know, but that really sucks. That really say, okay, old timer, you're always a friend on the program. If you do create a secondary account, you got an instant follow from me, but unfortunately, you need quite a bit of followers. I think about 1,000 before you can go live again. That's really awful. Looking in the comments, that kind of stuff upsets me. But looking in the comments, get rid of the MAGA code, get rid of the R's versus D's, and start over, says Wisconsin. Well, the problem with getting rid of the Republicans and Democrats is, hey, we're a capitalist country. Anytime somebody talks about socialism, communism, and any of these other isms, you get demonized. What's the biggest issue with capitalism? It's finance-based. And our political system is the same way. You cannot get your message out with any amount of significance without having money. You can get on here. I mean, I'm able to talk to a few people every now and then, but to run a successful national campaign, none of the television networks are going to touch you unless you have money. Same thing with the radio programs and even these social media sites like Facebook and things like that. If you really want to advertise, you need money. We want a capitalist system. You have to understand in a capitalist system, certain things will take a back seat in favor of greed. Our healthcare system, our penal system, all of this stuff is based on profit. So when you say get rid of the R's and D's and make politics fair, capitalism is written all over it. Lobbyists are doing it. Everybody is in the system making money. You want capitalism, this is what happens. So I don't know how we could possibly grant your wish while everything is based upon how much money can I make out of it, up to and including both sides of the House. As we know, Nancy Pelosi, how much money is Nancy Pelosi worth as opposed to how much she actually makes from Congress? You would need to calculate it using exponents. You got to assume Mitch McConnell and a lot of these other long-term politicians are the same way. So with capitalism involved in the mix and capitalism being based upon greed, you have to realize that everything they do is going to be based on how much money can they make out of it. Looking in the comments. Wow, are you people that sensitive over words when he's not picking on someone? That isn't. Yeah, I agree, Michael Box. I'm really, and that was a very fair caller. I don't, because of the type of program that I entertain, you get a lot of people that are drawn to their sides. Old timer. He's a frequent caller to the program, a friend of the program by every stretch of the word. Yeah, he was about as fair as you could get. He's not a liberal, but he can point out flaws in the Republican Party as well. Other than your humble correspondent, yours truly, I don't get many callers that are willing to do that. So, yeah, I'm really taken back that they would ban him. Going back to the box, Jer Magic Stick. If I can get back, they would ban him. Afternoon. How are you?
Pretty good. I just want to talk on
Sure, go ahead.
hold on. Yeah, I just want to comment on the abortion ban thing that Lindsey Graham put out there. I was just gonna throw this out there. Since the Republican has taken over since the Trump has taken over the Republican Party, I'm thinking Lindsey Graham's going on a limb. Lindsey Graham's gonna go on a limb and put the Republican Party in the ditch. That's what he's doing. That's why he's putting this out there, because he's got to get. Yeah, he's gonna get rid of the Republican Trump.
You think we got apparently we have a delay, but you believe Lindsey Graham is intentionally trying to change the Republican Party?
Yeah, that's what he's doing, because he's trying to get rid of the Trumpism in the Republican Party. So he's ready to throw it down and hopefully reset the Republican Party. That's what he's trying to do right now. So he's gonna go on a limb and do all these things before the midterm, so that the Trumpies in the Senate don't win their Senate seat. He's trying to just throw all the mud on them to the point where they lose control. The Trumpies lose control of the Republican Party, so he can gain control back to it. That's all it's about. It's a power grab right now.
Okay, I have an echo. I can hear myself on your side, but I want to say this.
Yeah.
2 issues. As CMB Corrado in the comments said, that's not going to work. First of all, MAGA's not going to let that happen. The second issue is, if you're going to change the Republican Party, why would you go take pictures with Trump and Mar-a-Lago if he's your target?
Because that's the whole plan. He wants to be sided with Trump. He's trying to drag them all over to an issue that's not going to win. That's not a winning issue. So why would you go to the national level on an issue that they cannot win? There's no other logic. And then if you really want to attain it, you got to bring, huh?
Are you on Bluetooth?
Yeah. Hold on, let me get rid of that.
Yeah, it's causing a big echo.
Oh. All right, let me get rid of that.
Okay, I'll give you a second. Looking in the comments, making it look like you support
better?
Trump. Yeah, that's much better. Okay, so you believe that Lindsey Graham is trying to take the Republican Party away from Trump, away from MAGA?
Yeah, that's what his plan is. He's gonna be seen with the MAGA part of the party. He's trying to drag him to a part of the issue that no one's gonna win, because when you do abortion ban on national level, it's not going to win. So the only reason why he would do it is if he can drag the Republican Party over the MAGA part into this realm of ban abortion and all that, they'll lose the Senate. They'll lose more seats in the Senate. So he's trying to. This is the only way you could take out someone that has control over the party because they took over the
Okay,
party.
wait a minute.
So,
Here's the issue I have with that. I think
okay.
Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, Jeb Bush, and a host of other Republicans have already proven that that path is political suicide. Lindsey Graham will not succeed at that. I cannot imagine why any seasoned politician, at least in 2022, will think that they could be favored over President Trump. That's just not going to happen. Which CMB and Corrado in the comments even said that's not going to happen. The MAGA folks that you're claiming he's trying to take over, they already believe the guy is a rhino. They're not going to follow him.
Yeah. So, well, when you put out this national issue, when Lindsey Graham went on a limb, he doesn't care. He could throw the party in the garbage. He doesn't care no more. It's about and if he can drag the people on this issue and make it look like they're on a national ban on abortion, they can drag them in there. They can lose their seat. All these Trump Republicans that are trying to get these Senate seats in the midterms. If he brings that up, if he can draw them people on that issue and point them out, say, hey, these people want a national ban on abortion. Look at them; they're Trump people, and they can lose their seat. The ones that
Okay,
are running right now.
Okay, let me interrupt and ask you this. As a voter yourself, what do you think of President Trump? And I'll tell you why I'm asking him, but what do you think of President Trump as, he's already served a year in office and I mean, he's a politician at this point, but what do you think of Trump himself?
Well, I know him since the 90s because I'm a union laborer, and he built a casino over here in the 90s, 95 over in Gary, Indiana. And he
Okay.
owes people still to this day money. He owes our hall at least $8 million of benefit because he didn't pay us.
All right. So
And
you're
the
not bad.
operators and
Okay.
everything else. So
All
I'm
right.
gonna let you know he's a piece of shit in my book. And that's way before he even thought about being a president. That's because
Okay.
he done families in my area. He did them dirty, big time. When he built
Okay, and
that
that's interesting because I pegged you as MAGA, and the reason I was asking you that, I was going to ask you is if you can see Lindsey Graham as being a bad choice, and a host of my other viewers can see the same thing, why can't Trump see this? All of his supporters can see that Lindsey Graham is an opportunist and not necessarily trustworthy or even a Republican at all, yet Trump continues to endorse him under the mantra that he's draining the swamp. But you don't have a favorable opinion of Trump, so I get
No,
your point. I thought you were
yeah,
MAGA at first, so my
no.
apologies.
And another point is Trump has no power no more politically. Lindsey Graham does.
I wouldn't I
Lindsey
wouldn't
Graham
say
has
that.
power. He still had power, and Trump will be long gone, and Lindsey Graham will still have power. He'll still be in Congress way after Trump's gone. He does it. So, and you know what? I'm gonna tell you what, they're gonna do whatever they can to get rid of the Trump part base of the Republican Party, and that's what they're doing. And you'll see more of it as we go on. After the midterms, you'll see more of it as they try to get rid of the Trump side of the candidates. That's what they're trying to
Oh,
do. They're gonna try to
wow.
knock out the Trump part candidate and get rid of that
Okay.
part. You know.
That's an interesting perspective. I've heard that he's a rhino, but I've never heard anyone say that he's deliberately trying to target MAGA. But listen, I do got to move it on, man.
Okay. All right.
Appreciate you coming through. Good talk. You're welcome back anytime.
All right. Thanks, bud.
Okay,
Peace.
absolutely a pleasure. Okay, so folks, in regards to that last caller, how many of you guys agree with that? That Lindsey Graham is essentially anti-MAGA. That previous caller is suggesting that Lindsey Graham is trying to turn the party around and separate the Trumpers from the party. Essentially, as opposed to draining the swamp, Lindsey Graham is trying to drain MAGA. At least that's what the caller stated. I want to hear. I'd love to hear in the comments how you guys feel about that. But I am going to go back to the box. Cornstar Grandma or GMA rather. You said Lindsey Graham is part of the swamp. Yeehaw! Thank you for that. That hat and mustache. Appreciate that. In regards to Lindsey Graham being part of the swamp, that is the overwhelming opinion of MAGA. I talk to MAGA all day, every day. Absolutely enjoy talking to MAGA. It's a privilege, a pleasure. And they all say that Lindsey Graham is part of the swamp. So can someone explain to me why Trump is inviting him to Mar-a-Lago and taking pictures with him? Going back to the box, we got your financial guru. Is like always a good conversation with your
What's
financial
shaking,
guru.
bacon?
Good afternoon. Hey, what's up?
So, what's the flavor? What do you want to cover? You want to cover Princess Graham and why he gets to hang out at the ball with Trump? Do you know? You ever heard the phrase?
Yes,
You
I
ever heard
want
the
to
phrase
know.
"useful idiot"?
Elaborate. Yeah, I think I know where you're going, but elaborate
Well,
on
if he has power, and Trump can get him to execute what he needs to have done, but think of chess pieces, right? Everything operates in that manner, the way he's played his game. Trump is a follower of Sun Tzu's Art of War. The first rule of Art of War is deception is the first rule of war. So look here to the left. I'm going to do something to the right. That's deception, what it's all about. So, yeah, Lindsey, people think Lindsey's got favor. Then when Lindsey speaks pro-Trump on something, he'll get maneuvered. Great example, go back to 2018 for the Kavanaugh hearings when he was the one that pushed through reinstating capital punishment as part of a federal agenda. Like it or not, whatever your opinions are about it, that was a movement that I've done, and he used Lindsey to help execute that movement because that's part of the agenda with Executive Order
So,
13. Hold on, real quick.
okay,
13818 and 13825. I've referenced those executive orders many times. Go back to
okay.
those. It's important they had that agenda for capital punishment. Now go ahead.
So when you okay, because you're talking about Sue's Art of War, and I'm somewhat familiar with that. How do you feel when MAGA folks suggest that when Trump came along, he did not realize how deep the swamp was? Do you
Well,
believe that?
I believe he knew how deep, but his problem is getting enough people to help him drain it. It's one damn man with an agenda. He can't change all of DC instantly. That thing's been
So
around
why
for like a
promise
100-year
it?
monster. Huh?
So why promise something that, like you said, if he is astute enough, smart enough to be studying Sue's Art of War and paying attention to how things are going on and playing chess as opposed to checkers, why would he have known at the time he made promises of locking up Hillary Clinton or draining the swamp? He should have known then if he did his homework in the manner you're suggesting that I'm making promises and leading my voters to believe
Agenda.
that I can do something that I know I cannot go.
Not complete. Well, I think you're judging on the premise that he did nothing. He has drained the swamp. The problem is when the swamp's 75 miles deep, and you say he takes out nothing because he didn't drain all 75 miles of swamp. The swamp is not nearly as deep as it used to be. You want proof of
How
that? A
many
lot of it.
miles?
Hold on,
How many
hold on.
miles did he drain out of the 75? How many
I,
miles have
I,
been drained?
I don't know. It depends which one you use for a measuring stick. We've had this
Okay.
discussion before about the fact he has 2 versus 1 on regulations, for example, when no other president ever did that. And there's other things he's done to limit the swamp's growth. But when it's a monster and everybody that's part of the power structure turns on you, the Mitt Romney's, the whatever, all the people that are supposed to be on your team, and they all turn on you to keep the structure the same.
What
What are you going to do?
about What about the alleged swamp creatures that Trump and MAGA are pointing out that did not even have a job until Trump came along and appointed them, such as Steve Bannon, for instance,
Useful
which is
idiots.
huh?
Useful idiots. It's my go-to
So it's
phrase.
okay to bring a swamp creature on board that didn't even exist if it'll benefit you.
I don't take Bannon as a swamp creature. He's not a
You
long-term
don't think that he
politician.
ripped off? You don't think that when they accuse him of ripping off his own supporters with the name a brick on the wall uh cause that he was collecting money for and spending it on himself? You don't believe that's true?
I told you I don't track every side story that they used to do
Okay.
whatever. It could be
All right,
true. I
but
don't know. I didn't spend energy studying that about Bannon. I'm focused more on, like I said, bigger issues that make structural changes, right? So in the case
Yeah,
of
but if
Lindsey
you're
Graham,
ripping out, I
he was
mean, I get your point that if you're involved in bigger issues that help America, that is exceptionally valuable. But if you're ripping off constituents, even though you're working on bigger things, you can't ignore people donating money to causes that you're lying about and spending it on yourself. You don't
I
hold them
would.
accountable for
I'm not.
that.
I didn't say that. That's what I said. If he did something dirty, hang him. Hang him by his nuts. I don't care.
But
If they've
wouldn't that
done
make
something
him a
wrong,
swamp creature? Wouldn't that also make
no,
him a
I don't.
swamp creature?
When I think of swamp creatures, I think of political creatures that have been there for a long time. Great example. My local state senator, when she started, she had a net worth of $400,000. She's in her second term. She's now got a net worth of 4.9 million. How does she tenfold her money in a period of 6 years? I do investments professionally. I don't tenfold your money in this period of 6 years. There's
Yeah,
no way that's
but wait
getting
a
done.
minute. I get your point about folks making an incredible amount of income off the office after serving for a long period of time. But if Steve Bannon was there for only a couple years and he was already starting to get involved in schemes, you would have to assume that if he was in office for 10 or 15 years, he would be doing the same thing. He's already on the path to doing it.
And I've told you, I don't disagree with you. I've said that like four
Okay.
times. I don't
Well, you said
disagree.
you said you don't think of him as a swamp creature, and I'm
I don't
telling
think
you, go
maybe
ahead.
with maybe he's a baby swamp creature. Fine. When I think of him, I'm thinking, he's just getting his little pacifier out. He's learning how to be swampy. I don't know. And it very well could be. But
Yeah.
I know that he's attached to Breitbart. I looked up very highly to Breitbart because he walked into anybody's room, Republican or Democrat, and called them out as crooks. That's part of the reason why he probably got a convenient heart attack when he never ran. But whole other story. But he stood right in the face and gave him the middle finger, and Bannon was attached to that. That's the only reason Bannon has any notoriety at this time at all, is because of Breitbart's work. I followed Breitbart
So
until he died, but that's a different story.
okay, so in regards to the actual topic, what do you think about Lindsey Graham suggesting that we have a federal abortion ban at 15 weeks? Now, that goes totally against what the Supreme Court did, totally against what the Republican evangelicals want, and totally against preserving the sanctity of life. Why would he do that?
My, why would he ask to have a ban? I thought he said you can't
At
have an
15
abortion any later
weeks.
than 15 weeks, right?
Yeah,
That's what he
which
said.
is
Yeah.
when most of them happen. I mean,
He-
that would still leave millions, if not hundreds of thousands of abortions still taking place every
Yep.
year. So
I'd
he
agree
would.
with you
So why would he do that?
because so much what the other caller said. He's not a like. All right, the whole Republican Democrat label thing, that whole ping pong ball business. He may wear a Republican label, but if you want truly a conservative individualism, egalitarian methodology, which the Republican Party was originally founded under, almost none of them carry that label anymore. They just don't carry it. They carry a label for politics, but they don't carry a label for representing what the true core founding values were. And Lindsey Graham
So
that's what they call him, a rhino or fake Republican or whatever. Just like there's fake Democrats, the ones that are pushing all these other agendas that don't align with most Democrats that when I always took as growing up were home-based value, community-based people, and give everybody equal shots. That was like the ideal core of the Democrat Party at one time. And like everything else, it got corrupted too because power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely.
okay,
The Republicans did it for big business, and Democrats did it through organized labor. And next thing you know, they both lost their values. They
okay.
went
So
off the roof.
I don't. Okay, I hear what you're saying, but I'm not sure I quite understand. I'm not quite sure I'm hearing the actual answer. So why did Lindsey Graham promote something that goes completely against his party and what they want and what they are currently celebrating, the rolling back of Roe versus Wade? You're saying Lindsey Graham went completely against his party for what reason?
But in a different terminology, he's a federalist. He wants to federalize power. He doesn't want states to have individual power. We had the same problem with the founding fathers. Alexander Hamilton went at it with Jefferson. Go all the way back to then. Alexander Hamilton wanted a national bank. Jefferson was like, no, it will destroy the power of the purse of the people. What do we get? Federal Reserve Bank. What do we got? Never ending inflation. What do you got? Lack of purchasing power.
So what you're
So
suggesting,
Lindsey's one of those people.
right? So what you're suggesting is that even though the Republican Party always or it essentially claims to be in favor of small government and individuals and states' rights, the folks that are voting for Lindsey Graham, and he is widely favored in his area, are actually fans of federalism. They want to make big government, which is what Lindsey Graham is promoting. So you're saying that they're actually being disingenuous to the voters in that state that are supporting Lindsey Graham are actually for expanding government.
I think a good majority of the people are they vote on autopilot and they don't even think. It's a team thing now. I vote this team or that team. They don't even look at the issues. I talk to people about politics all the time. Because you talk about money, you're going to talk about politics. And as a matter of fact, religion. I get all three in every conversation with a client. And the average American just wants to get it done. They don't really dig into and think the consequence of the choice. And they don't pay attention how wealthy these people become and how they cheat the system. Did you know it's legal for them to do insider trading?
Yeah.
Completely legal.
Yeah. I am aware about that. I am aware of that.
So all of these things, they all stack up. And the average American just wants to feed their kid, do their job, and retire.
Yeah, but I'm listening to what you're saying. And I talk to Mag all the time, who they champion Trump because finally we had somebody that was not a typical politician, was not an insider, was going to drain the swamp. And based on our conversation we're having, it's pretty clear none of that's going to happen anytime soon. It's pretty much politics is normal 4 years after Trump has been in office. I mean, just like I asked my previous caller, I suppose you too would agree that Drain the Swamp has been a failure.
I told you tried to pin that on me earlier. I would not call it a failure. I know you're consistently going back to this, and I'm saying no. I don't think it's a failure, and I get that's where you've drawn your conclusion because you want to see all or nothing. Show me any president did all or nothing of anything they promised.
I have never heard of a president say they were going to drain the swamp in the manner that Trump said.
Well, I understand that, but like I've said to you before, and I'll go back to it. Executive Order 13818, Executive Order 13825, his regulation allotment. He's done stuff. But what more do you he can't do it all right away when everybody in the whole freaking place is out to stop him every time he turns around. He's been, his followers can roadblock at the roadblock.
The point I'm asking, okay, I get your point that he can't do it all by himself and with folks resisting him and things like that. I get all of that. But if you're coming into an arena that is full of swamp creatures, which is what he announced in 2015, why wouldn't you have known that then when you're making this promise that you're going to drain the swamp? Why wouldn't you have known that I can't do this by myself and I'm going to get a lot of resistance? You're talking about he studied the Sioux art of war, but it sounds like he didn't learn anything from the material. You should have known that you're making a promise that you're not going to be able to live up to based on what you're saying.
Like I said, I believe from what I've observed from him from his 5 years now, 6, 7 years in politics, the very fact that you think he's ineffective and there's whole shows like you guys still talking about a guy that's no longer president and you got a clown for sitting in office now, twiddling his thumbs and nobody's got shows about him, it just shows you how effective he's actually been. So you can say whatever you want, but you guys can't ever seem to get his name out of your mouths. No. So it's constant. And he's not in office. He's not in anybody.
Wait a minute. When you say you guys, when you say you guys can't get his name out of your mouth, elaborate on who you're referring to when you say you guys can't get his name out of your mouth.
Talk show hosts, liberals, anti-Trumpers, whatever. Anybody doesn't like the guy, period. He's constantly talking about he's not president.
What about people that do like him? Can they get his name out of their mouth?
Well, that's different. They should. They like him. They should talk about him. If you don't like somebody, why are you talking about him all the time? That's what I'm saying, right?
So according to you,
I have people I don't like. I don't talk about them. I don't give a shit what they do.
Wait a minute. So according to you, if Trump was elected president and he did not like Hillary Clinton, he shouldn't still be talking about her. If he didn't like Obama after he was in office, he shouldn't be talking about him. That's what you're saying, right?
And go back and read a lot of his Trump posts, and he doesn't anymore. He did when he was in office. No. Do not follow his truth posts.
When they served the warrant, wait a minute. When they served the warrant on Trump's home in Mar-a-Lago, first thing he did was started talking about Hillary Clinton.
Because she tweeted about him.
Oh, so there are reasons.
Well,
Okay.
that's what
So in other words, there are reasons why you can talk about somebody.
I didn't say there wasn't. I'm just making a
Okay.
reference for people that don't like a guy in general. Everyone seems to talk about him. I don't see a Biden show where people's talking about, let's take Biden fans. There's not one. Why? Why isn't there like a Biden show?
Point.
Why isn't there one?
Well, I'm just.
It's
I
the
gotta
Trump
move it
suck
over.
show or it's a Trump rock show, but it's never a Biden show. Where's Biden show?
Okay.
Team Biden.
Fair enough, and that's a legitimate point. But I got to move it on. But I will. The reason I asked you that, yeah, and the reason I asked you that, appreciate you coming through. The reason why I brought that up, if I can get this word, the reason why I brought that up with the caller is because everybody's talking about Trump. It's not uncommon to hear folks say, "Well, you liberals can't get his name out your mouth," or "He's living rent free in your head." But if you turn on OAN, Newsmax, Fox, they're talking about him too. So it's not like the liberals are doing wrong talking about Trump because he's out of office. Why are you still talking about him? Well, the right wing is talking about him as well. Now, digging deeper with that caller, he came out and admitted, well, the people that like him can talk about him. You guys don't like him, you shouldn't be talking about him. Well, that's different. That's different. I mean, I could point out a whole lot of liberals that are either in office or not in office that the right wing doesn't like, and they still talk about them. Hillary Clinton still readily gets mentioned on Fox News, on CNN, on OAN, and Hillary Clinton is not in the news anywhere near as much as Trump. She doesn't hold rallies. She's not getting involved in political campaigns anywhere near to the level of Trump. Liz Cheney loses her position in Wyoming. Immediately, Trump is tweeting out taking credit for it. Why wouldn't you talk about the guy? He's heavily involved in politics. 8 out of the 10 politicians that voted to impeach him lost their positions in office. Guess who started taking credit for it? Why would you not talk about that? He's deeply involved in politics. Barack Obama, meanwhile, is out on the beach surfing all the time. George W. Bush is painting pictures of clowns, so nobody talks about them as much. Trump is heavily involved in politics. Sure, keep your mouth shut, don't talk about him, and let him just destroy you. I guess that's what we're trying to get. Ginger-bearded Texan. Afternoon, welcome to the program.
Hey, man, what's going on?
I'm in the trenches as usual. Why would Lindsey Graham go completely against his own party and suggest a national abortion ban, giving women the right to abort up to 15 weeks? Why would he do that?
Well, first of all, I'm going to say that was probably one of the biggest political gaffes that he could have probably made, because Republicans are talking so much about the economy, and instead of leaving that focus on the economy when you have new numbers come out that day, that was just a complete political gaffe as far as I'm concerned.
Well, as a liberal, all I can do is say thank you.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's literally a gift.
Exactly right.
Yeah, he literally gift wrapped that one.
Yeah, that was a gift. So,
yeah.
But why would he do it? Man, this is really simple on why he would do it. Pew Research came out and said, they did a survey, and 6 out of 10 people, 61% of Americans, believe that there should be some level of abortion. Mostly Democrats, but also independents. But 61% of Americans believe that there should be some level of access to abortion nationally in every state. And he is solid in his state. So he's in his mind thinks
he's playing the odds.
Do what?
He's playing the odds, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 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 Because what he wants to do is he wants to make sure that they're going to get the House and the Senate to go back against President Biden. It has nothing to do with Donald Trump. Donald Trump is not a thought in this whole thing. It's right now he's looking at the next 2 years and looking at Biden and Biden alone. Because Graham's fair weather. He's going to go wherever the polling takes him.
Here's the question I would have to ask, though, Because you pointing out that Graham is an opportunist of sorts. I've stated it, and a lot of my callers have, which leads to the obvious question: why can't Trump see that? He's taking pictures of them, always has them down to Mar-a-Lago. Why isn't Trump saying that? If all of his constituents and voters can see it, even the voters of his opposition can see it, is he not savvy enough to realize that this guy is not operating in your best interests?
You do realize that when it comes down to it. I mean, you were talking earlier about capitalism. Caliber, stop it. I'm sorry. You were talking about capitalism earlier, and we can't do away with the two-party system because it's really about money.
Yeah.
It's even deeper than that because the money gets you popularity. And really what it comes down to, it boils down to a popularity contest. And when you can get popular figures that are going to support you, okay, even if they're a swamp creature, you will sacrifice your values and your scruples and your morals in order to do, in order to get your way and get what you want.
Okay. So
It's the same thing as the whole. I know that a couple of callers ago, or maybe it was the last caller, was talking about Sun Tzu, Art of War. But I'm going to say it's actually the art of the deal. Trump is going to do whatever he can to close the deal. That's what he does. That's what he does.
So if the only focus is on closing the deal, and as someone in the comments said, keep your enemies closer.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you the same question I've asked all the other callers. Should we close the book on actually draining the swamp? Should we now realize that probably is not going to happen?
I don't think it's going to happen until we can put term limits on the House and Senate. And unfortunately, we keep putting the same people in place that they're the ones that have to put those term limits in place.
Right. And after 4 years of Trump, there was not even a mention of term limits. Trump never said at any rally that he was even considering term limits. So we know we're not going to get that from Trump. Obviously, Biden has enjoyed a lengthy period of time in Washington. So we know Biden would laugh at it. But Trump himself has also shown us that we're not going to get term limits. So
because Trump's supporters from the political side, the majority of them are enjoying the fact that there's no term limits. But you think about every prominent name in the House and the Senate, besides the Supreme Court, the president has term limits. At most, we have to suffer any president 8 years. At most, no matter who it is, if you're on one side of the aisle or the other, the reality is we have to suffer them for 8 years at the most, and at the state level, governors too. But that swamp is where we put in these career politicians. You brought up Nancy Pelosi earlier. She's getting insider information that then she gives to her husband Paul. There's this accepted plausible deniability that because of that insider information, oh no, I'm not sharing any of that with him when he makes his investments as an investment banker.
Yeah, they're lying about that. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Sides. It's on both sides.
Well, you've seen it with Justice Clarence Thomas's wife calling the upper members of the Trump administration in regards to Stop the Steal. I mean, she had their personal phone numbers. So yeah, it's clearly all linked up. I don't disagree.
It's all together.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is that Trump told people, hey, I'm going to drain the swamp. But the reality is that the swamp is so damn large, it's so damn deep, that in order to do that, you've got to start with the lawmakers, okay? Because the president is not a lawmaker. And the Supreme Court is a law interpreter. Okay. So you have to start with the lawmakers first.
I don't disagree with anything you're saying, but it makes me keep going back to my original comment. If you know that, and I know that, and most of the voters know that, why wouldn't Trump know that? Why are so many people suggesting that Trump got in power and he didn't realize how big the swamp is? If you and I know it, did he not do his homework? How did he not know that?
I don't think that he knows it or not. In fact, I think that most of America doesn't know it. You look at this, there's 252 people in here, okay, that I'm looking at right now. 255.
Right.
That's a very, very small cross section of America. Most don't care.
True.
And a number of them are so totally uneducated, they couldn't even tell you who the Secretary of State is right now. Okay. They're that uneducated. So they'll believe whatever you tell them. And they'll just go along with it because we don't educate people even on
what you're saying is that Trump realized that a lot of his voters are not educated and knew they would believe that. So he told them something that he probably knew wasn't true.
On both sides. It happens on both sides. So it's not only Trump, but how about Biden saying, hey, we're going to pay off your student loans? Bullshit. Biden doesn't have the power to do that.
Yeah.
But people believe it and they buy into it.
But here's the difference, though. Here's the difference. When Trump was elected, one of his claims to fame is that he was not a typical politician. What you're suggesting is that he got elected and literally did exactly what typical politicians do. He played to the uneducated members of his constituency and told them things he couldn't do. Now, we know Biden did it. If you want your doctor, you can keep your doctor from Trump, or better yet, Obama. Read my lips, no new taxes from George H.W.
Yeah.
But they're longtime politicians. Trump was supposed to drain the swamp and not be a typical politician, but you're submitting evidence that he got in there and became exactly that.
Oh, no, what I'm suggesting is that he's been the CEO of a number of corporations, and 2 callers ago, he was talking about that their union is still owed $8 million from him.
Yeah, I heard that.
He's, and I can't validate that one way or the other, and so I'm not going to call that one way or the other. But I am going to say that every CEO is a politician. During Obamacare, I work for a healthcare organization. And when they were debating Obamacare and crafting Obamacare, my CEO was going back and forth to Washington to meet with lawmakers to help craft Obamacare. So the fact is that a CEO is a politician.
I agree with that. I do. And certainly, I said that before, particularly in a big city like New York, where you got to deal with everybody from labor unions to the mob. There's no way you would become a real estate mogul like President Trump became without knowing the politics of at least that city. I mean, so I agree with you. Yeah.
Look at Walmart. Walmart will go into a town and say, we're going to build a Walmart. But in doing that, we want certain concessions from you, whether it's different tax incentives. And then as soon as those tax incentives end, they close the damn store and move it and start all over again.
Yeah, and I always come back to my right wingers when they start talking about being against social programs under the guise of who's going to pay for it and things like that. What you're pointing out is corporate welfare. Handouts and giveaways to the upper side. Listen, I gotta move it on, but I agree with that. I agree with that spot on. I'll give you the last word though.
I was just gonna say, he's a politician. They're all politicians. We can say what we want, but what we need to be pushing for right now is term limits in the House and the Senate. Then we can get something done. Period.
Good luck with that. I think every citizen, I think every voter wants term limits. But you go ahead and take care of them animals, man. Come on back through. All right, appreciate them coming through. But yeah, I don't think I don't believe there's any politicians, or better yet, voters, not politicians. I don't believe there's any voters that are against term limits. There are some politicians that are in office where you might think that person is really helping our party out. But even still, eventually you're going to be in favor of term limits. A good example would probably be, say, Mitch McConnell. When Trump was being impeached, Mitch McConnell stopped the impeachments. When Trump, or better yet, when Obama was trying to appoint Merrick Garland as a Supreme Court justice, Mitch McConnell stopped that as well. But make no mistake about it, Mitch McConnell's a lifelong politician. So if you're in favor of term limits, you're also in favor of what he's doing in his old age. But eventually, I think that everybody is going to be in favor of term limits. I mean, even Nancy Pelosi, for us on the left, yeah, she's been in office for a long time. She's greatly enriched herself as a politician, made millions of dollars, but she is responsible for a hell of a lot of Democrats being in office. She's the one that is responsible for Trump being impeached twice. She's the mechanism behind the January 6th hearings. Kelly, appreciate that crown. Thank you. Much love to you, Kelly. But let me go back to the box here briefly. Richard Henry, number 1. Might be a new caller. Nevertheless, you're welcome to the program. Good afternoon, Richard. Looks like TikTok is spinning things around if it lets you in. Russian collusion hoax attempted coup also. You know, when you listen to the testimony of Robert Mueller, it's hard to suggest that the Russian incident was a complete hoax. As he stated, he can't completely prove that Trump did it, but he also does not have proof that Trump did not. Does that mean it's a hoax? I mean, are we to believe that Mueller, another lifelong Republican of the highest nature in the FBI, just spent all of that time investigating something that was a hoax? I don't see it as a hoax. I can see it as being an investigation that did not come to fruition. That happens to a lot of people. That happens to a lot of allegations, but it doesn't appear to be a hoax. It just appears to be something where they couldn't prove it. Charges dropped. Happens to people all the time, every day. Looking in the comments here, Freedom Vibe says Hillary paid millions to a foreign agent, Christopher Steele. I go back to my original statement all the time. If Hillary is so corrupt, and Trump is suggesting that if he was president, she'd be in jail, why are we not holding Trump accountable for any type of investigations or movements towards bringing Hillary Clinton to justice? It's overwhelmingly MAGA folks who believe Hillary Clinton is corrupt. As Trump used to call her, crooked Hillary. How could you point out, as a presidential candidate, that the former Secretary of State, your opposition as a presidential contender, is crooked as hell, get elected, win the office, continue holding rallies pointing out how crooked she is, and do nothing about it? Not an investigation or anything. Do nothing about it. If you believe Hillary Clinton is that crooked, you have to hold Trump accountable for not using his Department of Justice, his own DOJ, the FBI, or anyone to open up an investigation on him. Did nothing as hell. Did nothing. We're blaming the Biden administration for allegedly weaponizing the DOJ and the FBI against Trump, but you believe Trump had legitimate shit on Hillary Clinton and did nothing about it. And you don't hold him accountable for that? You don't suggest that he dropped the ball on that at all? Okay. All right. Going back. Wait a minute. Looking in the comments before I go back to the box. What was it? He was too busy defending himself, dude. Toad Frog, that's a cop-out. You don't make it to the point of being the commander-in-chief without being able to walk and chew bubblegum at the same time. You're going to tell me that he's so busy, he can't do anything else but defend himself? That doesn't make sense. You don't, even if it came down to prosecuting Hillary Clinton, 99.9% of it is not going to be done by Trump anyway. You just hand out the order. Find out what she did in regards to this, or find out what happened there. That's all you're really doing. Trump is not the one that's doing, he just orders it to happen. If she was truly as corrupt as you're suggesting, Trump dropped the ball. Is he so busy defending himself that he had no problem finding time to go to rally after rally, to get involved in political campaign after political campaign? He was all over the country as president. Maybe he could have spent some of that time talking to his Department of Justice or talking to the FBI and getting charges against Hillary Clinton pursued, or at least an investigation. I don't buy the excuse that he was too busy. You didn't have problems finding a way to play golf. So that doesn't make any sense to me. President Trump had numerous golf outings while he was president. Why not have the head of the FBI or the Department of Justice on the golf course and discuss what you can do with Hillary Clinton? You're making up excuses for why she was not pursued if you believe she's corrupt. You can't say abortion is murder, then say any type is acceptable. Dinka, I don't quite get that comment. Because, and Michael Bach says, because the FBI is even against him. If you are the commander-in-chief, you get to fire the director of the FBI. If you think the FBI is not operating in your best interest and deliberately targeting you, get rid of the head of the FBI and appoint someone who is friendly to you. That's the reason why he appointed Attorney General Barr, William Barr, is he thought he was friendly to him. I mean, you're making up excuses for the guy. This is what happens when you do not elect a typical politician. They don't know the game. That's what politicking is all about, is making friends and relationships, not excuses. So it's your FBI, and you're telling me they're not working with you, and you can hire and fire? What's wrong with this picture? Looking in the comments here. They don't know the corruption game. It definitely sounds like Trump didn't know the corruption game. As folks are suggesting, he didn't know how big the swamp is. That's a flaw on the American people for hiring or electing a non-typical politician. There is a reason, even if you completely favor what Trump did for the country. And there are a lot of reasons to favor Trump's economy. It was a good economy. He did well economically. But there is a reason why we do not typically elect non-typical politicians. Trump is living proof of that. Does not know how to make relationships, does not know how to talk very well to his constituents. A politician can see that. Remember Bill Clinton, I feel your pain, or even President George W. Bush, when he's standing on the rubble of the World Trade Center, I hear you, we all hear you, and the people who knock down these buildings will hear all of us soon. It's about knowing how to talk to people. You think I could even have 10 of you in here if I didn't know how to speak to people the right way? That's what a non-typical politician does. He doesn't know how to politic. And when you look back at his administration, the biggest issue he had was the shit coming out of his mouth. Nobody's complaining about $2 gas and a good economy, not even the liberals. It's all the shit that was coming out of his mouth. And when you talk to MAGA, what is the first thing they say? Ignore what he says, pay attention to what he does. So both sides are admitting this guy does not know how to fucking talk. I'm on lunch break, 7 p.m. tonight. Follow the channel as I always ask. I do gotta run. I don't ban, I don't censor, I don't block. I am a little disappointed that one of my frequent viewers, OK Old Timer, did get blocked by TikTok. It's unfortunate. I don't ban, censor, or block you for any damn thing you say. I appreciate hearing civil discourse from the other side. You will always get a chance to come in the box, state your point without any worry of that. First Amendment is paramount here. However, I am on lunch break. I do gotta go. Catch you guys this evening. As always, follow the channel. Stay safe. Talk to you later.